When Maya Thompson, a black woman and the new owner of a prestigious bank, entered for the first time, she faced disdain from her own employees. With a single glance from teller Thomas, she sensed the bias she'd confront. But when a scandal threatened the bank, Maya's bold actions stunned everyone. Maya Thompson, a black woman in her early 40s, steps into the grand hall of her latest acquisition, a prestigious downtown bank that had been a pillar of the community for decades. With her tall, slender frame, she exudes quiet power and elegance, her deep blue tailored suit accentuating her professional poise. The subtle glint of her silver bracelet and small earrings add a refined touch, while her neatly styled natural curls enhance her distinctive presence. Every element of her look is carefully chosen, not to dazzle but to embody the authority and confidence of a woman who has earned her place in this world. Taking in the grand interior with a measured gaze, Maya sees beyond the polished floors, mahogany counters, and ornate decor. This bank, now hers, will reflect a vision of inclusivity and respect, a space where every client feels valued, a marked contrast to the institution's past. She watches her employees going about their day, most indifferent to her presence, likely assuming she's just another customer. In this moment, Maya blends into the crowd, experiencing her bank from the perspective of a typical client, observing the subtle nuances and behaviors that might otherwise go unnoticed. As she makes her way toward the teller's desk, she notices Thomas, a seasoned, middle-aged teller with a square jaw, closely cropped hair, and an expression of visible irritation, as if the demands of his position have long since worn away his warmth. He shuffles papers, glancing around with impatience, and Maya can sense his mood even before reaching his counter. She steps up, waiting for acknowledgement, but he doesn't look up, too engrossed in his paperwork to notice her presence. Finally, after a long pause, Thomas raises his eyes, barely masking his disdain. His gaze flickers over Maya's appearance, and a slight sneer curls at the edge of his mouth. "I don't handle charity cases," he mutters, his tone cutting and dismissive, making it clear he believes she's in the wrong place. To him, she's just another person who doesn't belong here, someone who's wasting his time. Maya holds herself with unwavering composure, her expression revealing nothing of her true thoughts as she meets his gaze. Calmly and without revealing her identity, she explains her purpose, her voice steady, carrying a quiet authority. Her response only deepens Thomas's irritation. His expression tightens as he's forced to listen to what he perceives as a challenge to his assumptions. He shifts uncomfortably, visibly displeased, unable to reconcile her demeanor with his narrow perception of her. In this moment, Maya realizes the depth of the biases she'll have to address within her own team. But her resolve only hardens, and a hint of a smile touches her lips as she contemplates the changes she'll implement. Little does Thomas know, the very foundation of his assumptions is about to be shaken. For the woman he's dismissed as an outsider is not only part of this establishment, but its owner, a fact that will soon disrupt the bank's culture in ways he cannot yet imagine. Maya, feeling a mix of disappointment and anger after her humiliating interaction with Thomas, is about to leave the bank. But as she reaches the door, two young employees, Sarah and Carlos, stop her. Sarah, a petite woman with short chestnut hair and warm eyes, works in the customer service department. Carlos, a young man with a bright, determined expression, serves as the assistant manager. With a quick glance between them, they approach Maya, aware that they've just witnessed unacceptable behavior from Thomas. As they speak to her, they express concern about the encounter. Realizing that the woman in front of them is their new boss, they start sharing insights about the environment. Sarah, looking around discreetly, explains that this isn't the first incident with Thomas. She mentions that he often treats clients, particularly black and minority clients, with disrespect. Carlos adds that the bank's atmosphere has suffered due to the toxic behavior of some employees, and Thomas is seen as one of the most problematic. Listening closely, Maya grasps the scope of the issue. Her original plan, to observe the bank's operations, now broadens. She realizes she'll need to confront internal prejudices and inappropriate treatment within her team. Determined to prioritize respect and equality, Maya decides to hold a private meeting with the bank's management team and key employees, including Thomas himself. In the conference room, the manager, several senior employees, and Thomas gather. And at first, Thomas doesn't understand why he's been summoned. When he realizes that Maya is not a mere client, but the new bank owner, a flicker of embarrassment crosses his face, which he tries to cover with a sarcastic smirk. He quickly becomes defensive, claiming his words were misinterpreted and that he meant nothing personal, insisting he was simply doing his job. However, Sarah and Carlos don't stay silent. They recount examples of Thomas's unacceptable behavior, sharing instances when he refused to serve clients for unfounded reasons or treated them with outright contempt. Thomas tries to interrupt, but Maya firmly asks him to remain silent. She then makes it clear that such behavior is unacceptable and goes against the company's values. Maya announces that an internal investigation will be conducted to uncover the root causes and full extent of the problem. She emphasizes that all clients at this bank deserve equal rights and respect. Her firm stance, calm yet resolute tone, and the support of Sarah and Carlos have an immediate effect. The atmosphere in the room shifts, and everyone starts to realize that change is inevitable and that biased behavior will no longer be tolerated. The story of Thomas's behavior and Maya's resilience quickly becomes headline news as local media pick up the incident. Reports that a bank teller showed bias against a client without realizing she was the owner spark widespread attention. In her public statements, Maya emphasizes her goal to transform the bank into a community-centered institution where every client feels respected and treated fairly. Her message resonates with locals, many of whom begin sharing their own stories of discrimination at financial institutions. These accounts further strengthen Maya's resolve to reform the bank, creating a fairer and safer environment. Tensions within the bank mount. Some employees support Maya's reforms, viewing them as a chance to improve the work culture and make it more equitable. Others, however, feel threatened by the impending changes, especially Thomas's colleagues, who either share his views or fear that the new standards will disrupt their routines. This tension underscores the need for change, which Maya sees clearly. Determined to act decisively, Maya organizes tolerance and inclusivity training for all employees, inviting experts to educate the staff on respect for diversity and communication ethics. She insists that in the future, such training will become a regular part of the bank's corporate culture. Thomas, however, openly resists, ignoring invitations and expressing his disapproval. He refuses to participate in the training, further underscoring his opposition to the values promoted by the new leadership. Meanwhile, the media continues to cover the incident, sparking a broader public conversation about the systemic challenges Black professionals and clients face in the financial sector. Stories of individuals experiencing discrimination in banking institutions surface on screens and in newspapers, inspiring many and strengthening the movement for justice. Maya receives numerous letters of support and gratitude from people who feel her actions are making a real difference in the city. Recognizing that her efforts are inspiring others to fight against prejudice, she becomes even more determined to make the bank a model of inclusive and equitable business, one that serves both profit and the principles of equality and respect. In a defining moment, Maya stands before the bank's entire staff, flanked by supportive employees like Sarah and Carlos. Looking out calmly yet confidently at her team, her voice is steady and resolute. Maya emphasizes the importance of equality, respect, and justice as core principles that should guide their bank. She makes it clear that under her leadership, there is no room for bias or discrimination. Our bank, Maya declares, must be a place where everyone feels valued and respected, regardless of race, gender, or social status. She lays out new standards of behavior and conduct, underscoring that respect for clients and colleagues alike will form the foundation of the bank's corporate culture. Maya also warns that those unwilling to support these changes and adhere to the new standards are free to leave. She needs employees who share her vision of a just and inclusive institution. Watching the proceedings, Thomas senses his influence slipping away. He attempts to justify himself, claiming his words and actions were misunderstood and that he has always been loyal to the bank. Yet his words draw no sympathy. Sarah and Carlos step forward with specific examples of his biased treatment toward clients he disrespected. In the end, despite his excuses, Thomas is dismissed, left to reflect on his actions. Under Maya's leadership, the bank begins to transform. She implements regular tolerance and inclusivity training, opens doors to local initiatives that support minorities and vulnerable populations, and promotes Sarah and Carlos to more influential roles, making them key figures in fostering a new culture of respect and community service. Their presence strengthens the new corporate ethics, setting an example for others to follow. Gradually, the bank's reputation recovers and the community's trust in it grows. Local residents notice friendlier staff and a warmer approach to client interactions. Through her determination and principles, Maya turns the bank into a symbol of change. Her example inspires other companies to follow suit, reminding everyone that genuine change starts with a commitment to principles, courage, and accountability. Maya's story demonstrates how one person's conviction can disrupt entrenched norms, bringing truth and justice to the forefront. Her bank is now a place of respect and trust, becoming not just a financial institution, but a symbol of hope and progress for the entire community.